Mr. Grow It. From the Stash Podcast.
Hey, boys. Welcome
back.
You guys should have drinks with me so we could all just cheers.
I got water.
You guys are healthy people.
I got water.
We're in
Cheers,
person.
boys.
I've got water too in a party cup.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's what it
Cheers.
is. Yeah, we're keeping stealth about that, aren't we?
Very stealth. Very stealth. Very low key.
Oh, you see what I did there? That's
Before
a great
we leak too much?
No, yeah. I was going to segue. I was going to keep it stealth, but it was stealth before I told you guys that I was excited to be here because of you guys watching every single episode. If you guys haven't noticed, this place has changed a lot because of you guys. We are live in person because of you, and we really appreciate it. And we wanted to get that out before anything else. Of course, a huge shout out to our peeps over at AC Infinity, man. They're helping us support the show, and of course, they're laying things down with some of the best products in the game. I'm very fortunate to have just about all of them, and I love them. If you go to acinfinity.com, check out their website. You use promo code THESTASH15 and save some few dollars off at checkout, and you'll help support the show. AC Infinity, thank you guys for believing in us as well. Did you see what? See what he said? That's a very stealthy spot to be hiding your drink.
Stealthy place for my drink to go.
See what we did there, guys? What do we got, Chris?
Stealth. The most important things to staying stealth.
Low key, keep it on the ground. You know what I'm saying? This is something that people, not just in prohibition areas, need to worry about, but people in cities, people who trying to maintain a low profile in general, and anybody who just doesn't want to be gaudy and dumb about what they do.
I'm 100% legal. And I still, even though I put my stuff on the internet, I still...
Even though I document every step of what I do to the public, to the masses.
Everyone.
Super private.
Super stealth. Super stealth. We really want to focus this episode on... again, it's not necessarily... We're not trying to encourage anyone to break the law. That's not what we do here on FTS. But what we do is we want people to be safe. Okay, we want people to ensure that they are not going to put themselves in a vulnerable position to be either not necessarily prosecuted, but in fact, you could live in a state and still be federally prosecuted. So, in some essence, you could be legal, but still have to worry about growing. So it's something that we should take into consideration on all levels of legality. And I wanted to start this one off.
Hey, what's your biggest tip?
I would say the biggest tip, number one, would be to keep your mouth shut.
Shut the front door.
Don't say nothing, man. Don't say nothing. I feel like the less people that know that you grow is the better. Is better because it's amazing how many more friends you have at harvest time. And I just think that it's not necessary. If they're not willing to help you trim, they're not a friend, first of all. But
it's kind of bars.
Don't talk about it. Don't brag about it. Don't make yourself a target. Is really number one. Don't talk about it.
You remember my Grow-Ambition stories talking about a buddy who I told, who then told other people, and then they came to my plans?
Yep.
Rule number one of Fight Club and of Grow Club: shut your motherfucking mouth, man.
Write a book.
This was me being young and dumb and naive, and that is so important because the less people who know, the more likely that no one finds it.
That's it.
Doesn't that seem obvious? Especially if it's an indoor grow.
Yeah.
Who the hell is going to stumble upon your indoor? I mean, unless they're breaking into your house already.
Unless it's your electrician.
Yeah.
Or like someone that's been like servicing your house in some way,
Yeah, but it's like if you are trying to keep it low key and you're not telling other people, well, that's great. But what about, tips on actually being able to keep it hidden from people?
What do you do? What do you do about yours?
Well, I mean, no brainer again would be a carbon filter. A lot of people going
smell
indoors,
gone,
right? Trying to hide that smell. Carbon filter is what a lot of people use. Pretty straightforward on that one.
Yeah.
Not too much to say, but
Well, I think
No, but it is a great first step.
odor control.
odor
as a whole,
control, yeah.
because there's some, me included, where I've had too low of a CFM measurement on my carbon filter, and it did nothing. It was just tiny. I was like, there was no difference. The smell was funk. I was like, okay, this is not working good. And then once I switched to a grow tent and I utilized more negative air pressure in the tent, then I noticed that smell significantly dropped down. But then you got harvest time. And when harvest time comes in, it stinks.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So that carbon filter only goes so far when you're harvesting in your house. And most of us are. We're sitting there watching TV, trimming, listening to music. The whole neighborhood knows you're harvesting. So that's where, there's products like ozone, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it does mask the smell pretty well. Otherwise, your traditional scent things in your house that you can have, or essential oils, even things outside like planting the right flowers that have a very strong
Yeah,
smell.
a mask.
A good mask. And it's still going to have a little bud there, but it's a questionable smell. It's not just that's bud.
Right,
It's like,
right.
smell lavender with a hint of,
Yeah, right. If
what is that?
if they don't hear about it and they don't smell it,
Out of sight, out of mind, baby.
that's right. You got to keep it out of sight. Any tips on how to
Well, I
keep?
mean, one thing with carbon filters, to back up 1 second, would be a lot of people have restriction in their carbon filter without knowing, like the carbon filter sock needs to be cleaned, or I think you had ran into this issue before where you put tap water in your humidifier, and then you've got those mineral deposits getting floating into the air, actually clogs up your carbon filter. So I know a lot of people are like, this carbon filter doesn't work anymore. What the heck? You know what I mean? They thought they got ripped off by the brand. Literally, no, it's only clogged up because of the minerals that floated in the air and clogged up the filter. So watch out for that. I know a lot of beginners run into that. Don't use tap water.
I
Or
think
even well water with the minerals in it.
I was
Probably
just going to
isn't a
say, I
good
think
idea.
that well water is also a worry too, because the heavy mineral, you're going to have mineral deposits that you're going to get.
If it's
in general.
coming deep from the earth without any kind of filtration, like a well, like normally if it's seeping through, there might be some kind of filtration, but you don't know what's present in the minerals.
And especially having
or in
enough
the soil.
mineral content in there, you're going to see some mineral deposits on your stuff with a humidifier. 9 times out of 10, especially I feel like if you have one that has hotter temperature coming out of there versus some are cold, they vary there. But these are things that can make it so that your stealth equipment malfunctions. It doesn't work as well, But then you have things like growing in the open space versus the tent. You could be completely enclosed.
That's what I was thinking about.
That's another thing for me where it's like, especially when the blurple lights were a thing. I used to be able to spot those like a mile away where I'm like,
Right?
they're growing. I see. Or the HPS lights.
Yeah.
That yellowy, orangish light. I knew I'd spot that a mile and a half. Got 1,000 waters going. He's banging them out right there. He's in flower. They're in
Right.
flower.
Yep.
That was a big dead giveaway. Now we're in the day and age with, white LEDs, which is really nice that people don't have that issue as much. But when you order those LEDs and a giant box shows up on your steps that says Chill Tech,
Yeah.
Right.
LED, grow light.
it's kind of
It's a bit
dead-ass
tough.
obvious
It's a
one.
bit tough. Could they
But-
wrap that in a T-shirt?
So I think discreet shipping and discreet purchasing of your products, if you're trying to be low key, I mean, in a situation of myself, I'll go to the grocery store, I'll go holler at my boy Trey, go see Timbo Slice and the crew there. That's cool for me. But when you're trying to keep it real low key, you don't want to walk into your garden with a big old bale of soil and your lights and your equipment or a bunch of harvesting stuff. It's like, harvest season. I'm jacking this fool.
Right.
Depending on where you live, there's eyes on you.
And
You
a
may
lot
not
of
even
people
know it.
Sorry. And a lot of people are you can't walk into your local grow room or your grow store because you don't really know. Like everyone knows that you're not growing tomatoes.
Going there for
You know how many-
tomatoes and hydroponics,
You know how many
man.
conversations at the garden store started with, "Oh, you're growing tomatoes?" And,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah."
Yep. That's
And then that's just how the conversation weeds in. No one asks any questions, but you just, some people can't be that open in conversation. So it's like you gotta get shipping,
Discreet, man.
and so you gotta kind of be weary of that or weary.
I think it's the
Weary.
same.
Weary.
Leary is Dennis Leary.
Dennis.
But here's my concern with that.
So
though,
I
too,
would,
is
one
like
more time.
branding.
I would just say even so maybe when you're getting your shipping, can they put it at the back door? Can they put it in behind the
Well, I was just
fence?
gonna say some companies put the branding on the package. So what do you do in that case? That special discreet shipping is almost a thing you need to put in the note to be like, hey, lean it against the side of the garage, put it over. Like you got to keep it a little more low key because it's a dead giveaway for anybody who does grow or knows the space when you have products that are dead ass. There's a grow there. Like they just look over like, that's an AC Infinity trim bowl right there. They must be harvesting soon. Son of a bitch, I'm gonna wait a couple days and go and bust in their window and take it. Like there is people like that, and that's the threat more for me that I'm concerned about than I am for legalities because I'm in a legal state. But when you've got so many websites now like Amazon and Walmart and places like that where you can order these products from, it's easier for discreet shipping. There's also great options like Happy Hydro. So they'll send it to you in a box.
Right.
And
Right. And I also know that like Amazon will do like gift wrapping. You
Yeah.
can put it in like a gift bag.
Sometimes, man, lately I just ordered something and it showed up just on my porch. Same with my YouTube plaque, man.
Just had YouTube written
Just
all over
YouTube.
it.
Creator award right out there. I was
Right.
like,
Why?
well, wait to put a target. And, everybody wants to have a creator plaque with a different channel's name on it.
Right. You're
To
right.
make a necklace out of it. But it's with grow equipment, you could potentially have your stuff stolen too, not just your garden. But I've had people who have won lights that we've sent, like legitimately, not WhatsApp, but legitimately through Chiltech specifically, that I've sent it out and it didn't make it to their house. So it did, but they weren't home. Someone stole it, and the neighbor ended up being the culprit. But like that's the risk too. By keeping it low key, if you just have a random thing there, it's not as hot and attractive. But if it's a top tier LED or it's some sort of expensive piece of grow equipment, not only does it potentially leave you exposed for your grow being broken into, but your equipment being stolen before you do it. So discreet shipping is one big thing for me if I'm trying to keep it low key.
Right, and
Bars.
I think something to note too is when it comes to the visuals is that something more relevant to back in the day was the amount of heat that your house was giving off and the electricity that it was consuming. I know in particular when it comes to like HPSs, when it comes to the heat that they give off, law enforcement is able to detect this from either their helicopters or what have you, and that's going to be a problem for perhaps later in the day.
Well, we play Call of Duty and even in
We know how
GTA.
heat seekers work.
I know
We
how that
thermals
works,
work.
bro. I know
We
how
are
thermals works in
professionals.
Emerald Hills,
Yep,
bro.
we are professionals in thermals. Also, I was just losing the train of thought there. The energy. Your electricity company.
Oh,
What do you guys call it? Your hydro company.
Electric company.
Yeah, electric company. They can detect.
You call it a hydro company?
Hydro company. Yeah.
You got hydro stores for grow stores?
Hydro store? Yeah, you could.
But do you?
No, it's a grow
Okay,
store.
good. Because we call them fucking hydro stores here for some reason.
Oh.
A lot of them hydroponic stores. So it's
I'm pretty sure a lot of our electricity comes from water generated.
Okay.
So it's hydro. Anyways, hydroelectric. But anyways, they can detect excessive amounts of electricity consumption. And if you don't have a hot tub, or if you're not running some kind of pool or some shop, like what they that could lead to possibly some scrutiny or some oversight that you want to avoid.
You got 12 hours of light that seems like just a really large amount of electrical consumption for 12 hours all the time. Like my electric company knew when I called and I was like, why is my bill so insane? Like this makes no sense. They're like, well, if you were using your hours between 7 to 7, and so it's like, 12-hour cycle. What the fuck? Why did they mention that? But it'd be more efficient for the electrical users because less people are using it in my area. I'm like, damn, this was just a rando on the phone that could just look at my bill and see, whew, that spike in that window you got right there with all those high pressure sodiums at the time rocking. Well, that's a giveaway. And if hypothetically you're in a place that it's a no-no and somebody wanting to look into that, that's a sure sign to look further when you're like, crazy amount of electrical usage in this facility or in this place. Dead ass giveaway. You got to be more discreet with your energy usage, but also just the equipment you have that you're utilizing in this space because the usage of the equipment or the electrical capacity of it. But I think that more and more people are finding efficient ways, like we were talking about a sustainability in a prior episode, to make it so you can stay a little more low key in that realm. But the larger you get, you can't. If you're a massive pole barn, there's been like in New York, they found random warehouses that have had a ton of random blood there. You'd think it would have been an obvious. I bet you that was probably one of the things. They probably got the electric, subpoena for a warrant to be able to search it. Yeah, and they're like, okay, we can prove that this place is a hot spot. We've flown over, we see all these things. They don't release that because now we know to avoid it. But it's like you can't be completely discreet if you're trying to scale. So I think one of the things is keep it small, keep it low key. Don't try to get too big.
Would you, if you were trying to hide the fact, would you post on social media?
No, of course not. Why would you?
Right?
Well, no,
Why
that's
would
the
you?
coolest shit to flex, man.
Yeah, I had a buddy who he had a basement and he basically boxed off an area in his basement and hid that. Hid it in a back wall. A lot of people do closets too. Another way to stay stealth, right? To let people know that you're not growing inside your house is have these fake walls and stuff like that. So, all right, fix the mic. Yeah, what I was trying to say was, staying stealth indoors, building a closet, a hidden area behind a closet, for example, cut out a wall, maybe make a door behind there. I don't know if I've had a couple friends that had that type of setup, and it totally helped you stay
There was a
hidden,
dude who had that dope ass setup that you were showing. I don't want to leak too much of the guy's information, but you had a Purple Velvet Room walkthrough, which is, if you don't know, Pigeons Patreon, which is a banger.
Yeah, it was. It was Ford Rage. That was his name.
Shout out to him, man. Let's
And
give his whole information up. His address
This
is
guy,
not-
this guy had, he published it, so I'm not outing anybody.
good.
And if you post it in my Purple Velvet Room, it is not.
You
a
literally
place
are
of security.
asking to have
it is not a
place on the internet.
So yeah, he had constructed this incredible, like it looked like it was his garage. You walk into his garage and it looked like a tool
workbench
cabinet.
thing. Yeah.
Like one of the I don't know. I was going to refer to a brand. You guys would have no idea. But anyways, you'd open it up 2 sides, but as you opened it up, it was another door, and you opened up that door, and it had 4 rooms, 2 on each side, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
I paid for his Patreon actually, and I went and checked it out. And
Really?
It's dope.
Actually,
It was we both did. Yes. It was inspiring, dude, because like I've always loved that like secret door, that makeshift door setup. You know what I'm saying? And then thinking for your grow, I don't care about the cops coming anymore. I care about some random coming to take my stuff, or having this be a threat of my family's safety because of plants. I have to shoot a motherfucker.
Yeah.
This is more of a thing that everybody should do, not just Prohibition. And that was one of the coolest, most inspiring stealth growth.
It was
I've
the
ever
best
seen.
one I've ever
I'd have
seen.
to say, he took the cake.
Yeah,
He's who this episode ends on. That's the goal, to get to that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Except for then you don't share it on something. Those other parts.
I also think it's very important to, I say don't say anything, but that's a pretty tough, don't say anything. That's pretty tough. You need to be really trustworthy and understanding the people that you're going to associate with. It's like you're going to need friends to help, to bounce ideas off of, to help you trim, because you're going to be excited. You're going to feel in a way, it's almost like a newborn child. When you harvest these plants for the first
and you
few
want to
times.
share that win or
And
that
that
happiness.
excitement, man. And in particular, it's like I think about my friend, I'm not going to mention his name, his wife at the time didn't know he was growing, and he was trying to go super stealth. But I don't think it's a
ballsy.
really good idea to garden in a space where the other half or anyone in the house, is really against it. And I know we've all been in, say, some instances where we were trying to grow in a house, maybe our parents were watching or something, allegedly. You can find that on Wikipedia, maybe. I've seen a spouse tear an entire garden apart that has been weeks through process. And
This is why you said his ex-wife, right?
it did not work out. But guess what? I got a lot of free garden equipment. Nowhere else to go with it. But I do keep people that you love and you trust around you, and I guess you can apply that to all things in your life. But specifically when it comes to this, make sure that you can confide in people.
Well, not everybody needs to know you're pulling your plants next Tuesday at 12. They could just know you.
Yeah.
I think that's, to an extent of like bringing everybody in your garden to come see everything. Doesn't always have to happen. Sometimes you can just share some pictures. So like sustainability flows into our stealth conversation, in my opinion, because as an organic grower, you never are going to have to see the grow store. You're never going to have to see it. You could literally never deal with people, but you can also have plant conversations with people without them knowing you're growing weed. Right. That's the big thing, because you could be like, oh, well, yeah, well, my crops, I'm doing this sort of cover crop and this and that. And that's like a general, I feel like a universal language. But then when you start talking about dialing your pH after adding all your nutrients into your reservoir.
Wait a second.
What are you growing?
Wait a second.
So I think like to not cut yourself off from society by doing this, but then finding a way to be able to get out there without leaking your whole life, because there is people who grow that you would never expect to grow or who consume.
I get that all the time.
Yeah,
I get that all the time. I'm a huge proponent in my community.
Yeah.
I'm a volunteer. I try to put up as much time as I can. I'm always at the local rink or down at the arena or the pitch or what have you. And, it's like when they do and if they do find out, it's like, what? And I'm like, really? You didn't think I was a stoner?
I didn't scream that.
I didn't
they look like I just
gardener. Like you never smelled my fingers or nothing. Okay, that's cool. I'm glad I'm doing it all in the right way, because that. In fairness, it's like, yeah, I'm very proud of who I am, but I'm also looking to be respected. I don't want to be, looked in a way that needs to be, not everybody needs to know everything about you. If I had a prescription to, nothing crazy, Viagra, it's no one else's business. You know what I mean? Why should it be?
I know, but somehow
But right, it's no
It doesn't
one's
make
business.
sense.
It's nobody's business, and so I think I do enjoy the conversation, and I really think that I enjoy where the world is going right now, where people are less likely to be over. They don't have to be so stealth. I enjoy going to the pharmacy and there's grandma's there, and she's really excited about putting some in her tea, and she and the ladies enjoy it at tea time, and she's just talking to me about this, and I'm just like, that's exciting. I'm glad you feel safe to share this
Yeah.
information, and so yeah,
It's breaking that stigma, man. Being
it
so
is.
successful.
You're darn right it is. You're darn right it is. So yeah, definitely.
I sat down with a couple of stealth growers that were actually from overseas. Obviously the laws
the
are a
dude with
lot
the mask.
different. Yeah, they had to wear masks
Yeah, that's a
on.
good epi.
There's a couple episodes
Yeah.
where they had to wear masks, and got some real good stealth
like a
advice
Drugs
from
Inc.
them.
Guard Talk Drugs Inc. That was good.
That was better.
Yeah, that was good, man.
Things you hear about a lot is when you're growing outdoors, guerrilla growing, for example, is you go in one way and then out another way, right? You're not going back the way you came.
Oh, that's good.
So that's one thing.
That's drug smoke.
I know one of the guys had like a whole bunch of brush just surrounding his grow site, and he had to actually crawl in to where his area was. You know what I mean? So just making sure that kind of deter people around your grow site with all brush and stuff like that. There was one guy who he recommended to carry an empty leash with you, even if you don't have a dog with you or whatever, so you can
Say,
if
"I'm
you
looking
have a
for my
story.
dog."
If somebody stops you, hey, I'm looking for my dog. I got a leash here. You have sort of an alibi.
That's
Very clever.
genius, man.
Yeah.
Like even the crawling into your spot, so it's like people couldn't walk through there. It's like you're right. He crawled through there.
Right.
He had a little tunnel that he worked his way. Like
Clever. Yeah,
that's the guerrilla grower stealthness.
Yeah.
That's the prohibition potential stealth.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's where you have to really look at it in a sense of you're hiding anything. Screw the plant. Screw all that. You're hiding something from other people. So you
Yeah,
got to get real creative.
Yeah, one of the things in outdoors, he mentioned stinging nettle that is a very similar leaf color, he had said, to the plant that we all know and love. And he said, grow stinging nettle around the area and it blends in, So it's another way of keeping stealth
Smart.
Very
kind
clever.
of from above.
Very clever. I think guerrilla growing is pretty cool. What about guerrilla smoking? I when I was young, in order for me to get away from my parents finding out, I used to keep an eyeglass case on me. Now I didn't wear glasses, so I don't know how much I was really stealthing. But I had an eyeglass case on me, and then rather than keeping a bag of herb, I would keep it in the eyeglass container. So it's like I could go around teachers and what have you, and people around town. It's just an eyeglass container, and I'd keep a little pipe in there, and a lighter, and a little bag of herb, and a little shiv to post through there.
Shiv, just in case things get
I
messy.
always call it a shiv. That's what I poked through the little thing
And
to
it all
clear
worked
it all
perfectly
out.
until he got near his parents, and then his mom was like, "Pigeons, little pigeons," which is his government name. by the
Little
way.
P, yeah.
Little P. You don't wear glasses.
It's so funny because we
That's
were
the most random.
we were driving in the truck when I was young, and I was sitting in the middle seat, and I had the man to the left and the lady to the right, and I don't refer to them as my parents. Like I refuse to.
Donors.
But I had it in my pocket, and I was starting to fall asleep, and all of a sudden I could feel her reaching into my pocket, and I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" She's
Trying to
like,
rob
"What
me?"
is that?" I was like,
Is that a
"It's
banana in your
nothing."
pocket?
Like, it's my
Is that a
dick, Mom.
banana?
What are you doing?
Mom, what is going on here? I was like, "It's nothing." She's like, "What is it?" I was like, "It's nothing. It's condoms, Mom. I got condoms in here. Leave me alone." And stop the conversation right there in its tracks. But sometimes you got to come up with a little bit of an alibi, to come up with things, or a little bit of a little tale to tell. But I wanted to half step back in regards to if you are on the internet and you are doing a little bit of research or a little bit of shopping, a VPN is a good way
VPN,
to keep yourself covered.
Or making all your orders
Because
from your permission string.
What you
is
don't
the best
understand,
idea.
what you don't understand is, I didn't understand, is that every single website that you click into, you are giving them your information. They know exactly they know that you have an ID, essentially. It's like going to the club. You got to show it to get in. And your computer and your network is giving up this information to these random sites that could very well be
working with the government.
maliciously hosted. Yeah. And I'm more worried about viruses and stuff like that too, or not more worried, but I just mean like, you do have to be careful on who can get access to your information when you're searching online. So a good VPN will prevent that in regards to it'll scramble that identification. You're 16 using that one that you purchased from downtown or your older brothers or what have you. That's what it's going to do for you and give you a little bit of leeway, a little assistance when it comes to being stealthy in the grow. But
and maybe
using that Trojan out of your pocket to protect you against the Trojan.
That's maybe if you got your condom. That's what that's good. That's good.
That's awesome, guys. I have to move on from that because I'm gonna get blush. I want to hear from you guys when it comes to stealth in the garden, because let's face it, man, a lot of us started growing when it was not the most favorable.
Yeah, when it was let's say looked down by certain agencies.
Hey, let's forget about us for a minute and just nod our hat to those that laid down the framework so we could be here today.
Pioneers, arrows in the back, baby.
Because we would not be here for those that it's so crazy to say that they put their life on the line for a plant.
Right, literally,
but this is literally the case, and it should not be belittled. There's people today that are still in prison for the prosecution of just a little bit of this plant, whether it's from just growing a little bit to supply. You got the Rick Simpson story in regards to his prosecution for supplying people with medicine and healing their pain, and got prosecuted, spent time in jail for it. So people have worked incredibly hard and bled, sweated, and teared so that we could get to an opportunity that we could have this pleasure of gardening, even under the guise of stealth.
Yeah.
So it's we don't have it nearly as bad as
we
some,
just like to complain.
Some
on the
people.
show
There's places
sometimes.
even
I think that's
around the world.
Life
that
is
don't have
great for us
access.
gardeners and consumers. There's people who literally weren't stealth intentionally as like a protest to be like, screw you, man.
Right.
All we got John Sinclair out in Michigan. We could do hash bash every year still to kind of like honor John Sinclair, who got arrested over a joint.
Oof.
And was treated like over nothing. And like these are the pioneers who did what they did to make it so we don't have to have a stealth grow or a stealth lifestyle as much. But for those who still unfortunately have to deal with that, I think these are good pieces of information to put into your lifestyle and to think more consciously of not just the government, but people and your peers who could take from you as well. And the worry of even lifestyle. If you're in a place that your career could be altered based on somebody knowing you grow or consume, well, stealth has to be your thing too, even in a legal area. There's a lot of variables when it comes to that, man. And I'm really, really happy and blessed that the three of us don't have to hide this. Like we have in the past, we'll say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And there's a positive that needs to come out of this. I think it's important, though, that no matter how hard it is or how tough it is or the battles that we have, we need to push. We need to protest. We need to show that we're not going to be belittled. We're not going to be oppressed. We're not going to be prosecuted because we believe that this is a medicine. And a lot of human beings can benefit from it. And I think that we need to keep pushing and keep being stealth will allow us to educate. Maybe it's behind a veil. Maybe it's in the gray market, the legacy market. But this is a way of protest. And we need to stay vocal. You need to speak up rather than try to suppress your thoughts when it comes to this plant.
Staying active with this plant. And I think that's even if you're quiet and you're being stealth, and then not speaking up.
You're protesting.
You're protesting like you're like, screw you, man.
Yep.
I'm still gonna keep doing this.
You're
You're
darn
not
right.
gonna shut me down because I can't do this is a plant. This is the dumbest thing. Like
Right.
I'm still stuck on the Nevada. We talk about this a while. Like, you can't grow plants outside in Nevada. What?
That plant that we all know and
The
love.
plant that we love. Like how is any plant, even a cocoa plant, any plant, how can you not grow that? No, it's what you do after the fact. That should be the conversation then, if anything. But like, what? I can't grow a
Government
plant.
needs that control over you. Man.
Government money,
Oof.
baby. I think
Jeez.
the more that you look at your lifestyle in terms of not being too gaudy and out there and thorned out there, the more you can kind of break that stigma of being the goofy, dumb stoner, all these things, the more it does become acceptable. So you don't have to be that stealth person, But until then, keep it low key. You don't hush, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely want to hear your stealth techniques down in the comment section of this video. I'm sure there's going to be a ton that we didn't mention here.
I bet.
The list goes on and
We
on
got
and
like
on and on.
philosophy wife for a minute.
Thank you so much, AC Infinity, for helping bringing us this episode. We appreciate you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, check out fromthestash.com/merch. Go to acinfinity.com, use promo code TheStash15 and save a few dollars off on checkout. Until next time, I'm Pigeons. That's Mr. Grow It, Rob, and Wink behind the scenes. We're outie 530. Peace.